5-2 is where we are. We're solving inequalities. What do I mean by inequalities when I say inequalities? Memories from yesterday? If you didn't blank out.
Is that anything not equal to?
Yeah, anything that doesn't have an equal to. So graders and lesses, that kind of stuff. When we're solving those, we're going to do the exact same stuff for solving. Do the opposite, do the same to both sides, all that kind of stuff. One difference at the end that I'll get to when we get to the end. But for this, you see the adding 5, so your job, as always, is to subtract 5. So if you like showing me the -5s, go ahead and do that. If you don't, I don't care. Those still eliminate. X is still around. Less than is still around. Mathing it out, 3 minus 5 is -2. On equation solving test, the only thing I go looking for is the -2. So if you have a sheet where it's just like all I see is the numbers, you're fine. I don't make you write x equals, x equals, x equals all the time. Some of you do, and that's fine, but I don't make you do that. On this, inequalities, I am going to make you write the x and the sign, because it's very different if x is less as opposed to x being greater, or x being equal, or x being something else. We need the x, we need the symbol, we need the number, we need all of that in the answers, because that's part of the name of the game is whether we're more or less or equal. We need that symbol to survive. It's never going to happen today if you do this the way I suggest, but there are times in the next lesson that the sign is going to turn on us, and the problem starts with a less and finishes with a greater, or vice versa. But there's going to be reasons at times as we do our opposites that the signs are going to get turned the other way. So we just need to build a habit from the word go. We need the variable, we need the greater or less sign to face the right direction, which today shouldn't change at all. And we need that number. So if I go to take this one on, your job is to add 6. If you add 6, the magic number is -3. If this were an equal sign last week, I'd be fine with you just writing -3 on your paper. But today, what else needs to survive? The x and the greater. Question about that? So this, what's your algebra attack? To do an add 4. When you add 4 to -10, it's -6. But it's not enough to just see -6. I need to see x less than or equal to -6. If I go to take this one on, subtract 7, turns out -10 with the full answer, x greater than or equal to -10. Question about those, it's kind of like little baby one-steppers. It's going to take us like 2 moves to get this figured out, maybe 3. What are we up to here?
-8.
Not yet. Combine like terms. So we have some x's here, we have some x's there. Combine those, that's going to make an x, because that's +5 versus -4. And when they're different, you have to subtract them. So x, still +8, less than 10. When we go final answer, there's still an x, there's still a less. Magic number is a 2. There shouldn't be any tonight that are going to make you multiply or divide. That's going to be saved for another day, because multiplying and dividing is the thing that turns the sign, and I'm not really ready to get into that with you, neither is the book. So if you go combining things and you get some number here that's going to cause you to divide, you probably did something wrong. So for this one, if we go to try to approach this with x's on each side, you got to bump one of them out of there. Which one would you bump? I bump the 6. How would you bump the 6? Subtract it, because it's positive and adding. Subtract 6, you get an x. Still plus a 2, still symbol, still 10. So for answer life, x, same symbol, 8, because what's our opposite? Subtracting a 2. Question about that before you do last one of the day, and then turn you loose. Okay, so this, what would you have to do? Distribute. Negative 4x minus 2. Still that 3 waiting. Then combine those. That's x, which is a good sign because we shouldn't have a number there, because if we did, later we'd have to divide and we're not going there yet. Still minus 2, less than 3. Less than, not a 1. Y of 5.
Because we're adding it.
We're adding, we're doing the opposite. So subtracting makes us add the 2, add 2, we got a 5. That's the name of the game today. It's all the same opposites, all the same order, all the same stuff, distributing, like terms, nothing's different about that. The only difference is when you solve these, it's not enough anymore to just get the number. You need to show x being greater or less. And if you do these right, none of the signs should be turned. When we get into the next lesson, then that's a whole other conversation about when we're going to do some switching of the signs around. Question about any of that? Homework is easily doable, and what we have left of time today, it is 192 is where we are. 192 works 1 to 15, skips a bunch in the middle, and then the last 3, 36, 7, and 8. So we're 1 to 15, 36 to 38. The homework says solve it and graph it. I say no, just solve it. But just by way of review, we'll do one quick one just to remind them yesterday. With this symbol, am I filling in or not filling in? I'm filling in. I put on there the number, negative 10, and then which way am I headed?
Right.
Right. So they wanted us to do both of these. I'm saying I don't care about that. In theory, we would have done that yesterday if people did it. But yesterday we should have our fill of graphing. We don't probably need to graph that today. But 1 to 15, just solve them. Just have the x greater than this, x less than that kind of answer for the 192s. And that's a wrap on that.